Welcome to Gospel Walk. Today, we're taking the principles of leadership taught at Christ Academy and looking closer at what it actually means to hold influence. Most modern perspectives frame leadership as a climb. We're told that influence is the prize for those with enough talent, enough charisma, or enough ruthless human ambition to reach the top. But there is a different reality at play. True leadership isn't an entitlement you earn. It is a sacred stewardship. It's a calling to serve others under the oversight of a sovereign God. When we believe that power is just a human game, we're left with a constant sense of anxiety. We end up worrying that our future is entirely dependent on the whims and flaws of whoever happens to be in charge. Recognizing a divine mandate changes how we view those in power. It suggests that if leadership is a responsibility granted by God, then the ultimate control of history doesn't rest on human shoulders alone. We can see this principle in action through the life of David. Long before he was a legendary king, his rise began as an act of divine initiation. The account in 1 Chronicles makes it clear that David didn't secure his kingship through his own youthful strength or a clever military strategy. His influence grew because the Lord Almighty was with him, empowering David for a specific purpose. God also ensured David didn't stand alone. He raised up mighty warriors and all Israel, creating a network of loyalty David didn't build himself. This shows us that a leader's capability isn't found in their independent power. It's found in their dependence on God and the community he provides to sustain them. This is easy to accept when a leader is like David, but it's much harder when a leader is flawed or even unjust. The early church had to wrestle with this while living under the Roman Empire. Writing to people under that Roman rule, Paul claimed that there is no authority except that which God has established. This is a distinction between the office and the person. God establishes the role of authority for the sake of order, but that doesn't mean he endorses every action a flawed leader takes. Because of this, believers are called to a specific posture, honoring the position of leadership, praying regularly for those in it, asking God for wisdom and humility. There is also a need for discernment. If an earthly authority commands something that violates God's higher law, faithful followers may be called to civil courage or peaceful resistance. Understanding that God's providence sits above every human throne means we don't have to put our ultimate hope in any political system. We can trust that His purposes aren't easily derailed by human failure. This providence also governs time. No leader reigns forever, and every season of influence eventually comes to an end. As Daniel prayed, God is the one who changes times and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others according to His own schedule. Sudden transitions or shifts in leadership can feel like a crisis to us, but what looks like a puzzle on the ground is never a surprise to God. Acknowledging that God governs the flow of history allows us to navigate changing times with humility. We can act with wisdom instead of reacting in panic. This isn't just a lesson for kings or presidents. It applies to every area where you have influence, whether you're managing a team at work, leading a ministry, or raising a family. If you are in a position of leadership, remember that you are a steward, not an owner. Seek a servant's heart and look for God's wisdom every day, rather than relying on your own skills. If you are following, offer your respect and your prayers. Recognize the weight those in authority carry, and use discernment to ensure your primary loyalty remains with God. Your current role, whether leading or following, is not an accident. It is an intentional assignment within a much larger story that God is writing. Because we know who is truly in control, we can find a sense of peace that doesn't depend on who is in office. We can simply focus on being faithful to the work God has put in front of us today.